averaging 7.5 points, but that belies how active she has been offensively, though she had a hard time getting going yesterday because of the fouls. Then Ashanti Coleman, the 6'2 freshman from San Francisco, averaging 3 points on the year. Jalea Bennett, another one who had a hard time really getting into a rhythm yesterday because she spent so much time on the bench because of fouls. The 6-foot sophomore from Grand Prairie, Texas. Of course, once she gets feeling it, she'll get hot. 8.3 points on the year from her. Keandra Cannon, 5'9 senior from San Diego, with Taryn Griffey, the redshirt freshman from Seattle, Washington, standing 5 feet 7 inches tall, the team's second leading scorer at 10.5 points a game. Rounds it out for the Wildcats. We got the tip-off coming up next here on Arizona IMG Sports.
For the whole team, Arizona Wildcats, number 0, Brianna Wolfman. Number 3, Taryn Griffey. Number 15, Keandra Cannon. Number 33, Jalea Bennett. Number 42, Ashanti Coleman. Head coach of the Arizona Wildcats, Nia Butts. Assistant E.C. Hill, Calamity McIntyre, and Sean LeBeau. Let's play basketball. Think about it. Take a second.
Wildcats looking to rebound after suffering the second loss of the season here. The first game in Puerto Rico dropped out one to Southern Methodist after going ice cold from the floor in the fourth quarter. Cats had been suffering that fate in the early going of ball games, so they seemingly corrected that. Did have a cold spell in the first quarter against SMU, but otherwise were playing pretty well offensively the first 3 quarters. Florida Gulf Coast, it also had a little bit of a culture shock, I guess one might look at it, as Mississippi State, a top 10 team, really got off to a hot start, but the second half was all FGCU, though they came up short. The Cats wearing their red uniforms here and have it jumped up and knocked out of bounds. Coleman won the tip, but the Cats couldn't control. FGCU wearing its home white, acting as the home team here in Puerto Rico. We'll begin by sending Gleasing to the sideline. The Wildcats pressing on the inbound, nearly able to take it away, but it's controlled by Grandigan. Set up the offense, now throwing it out to Dunson, and she's going to angle to the left side and eventually hand off Atwater. The team's leading scorer instead goes top of the key. Grandigan looking to try to find some way to get it inside. Now finally puts the rock down and hands off to Atwater. Spreading out wide, the Eagles with 12 seconds on the shot clock. Put the ball down. Coleman outside defending Atwater. She retreats now with 7 seconds. Eventually turns on the Jets, goes down the left lane line, puts it high off the glass. It's not good, and the rebound is knocked off of Atwater, who is still out of bounds. The Cats hold on the first offensive sequence, and a nice job there with FGCU seemingly getting the mismatch that they wanted. Coleman, the freshman from San Francisco, out defending the speedy backcourt player, but forced the awkward lay-in attempt, and now Cannon's already firing away at the right elbow and knocking it down from 15. The Cats are on the board first, leading 2-0, 9:15 to go in the first quarter. Dunson starts the offense again for FGCU, gets to the top of the lane and now backs away. Atwater runs off of a screen up high and eventually gets it near the left elbow. This time going with Bennett, and there's a cut through the back door, but a big swing and block there from Griffey. It looked like it might have been a clean play, except whenever you drop that hammer, as she had, it's usually an easy whistle for the officials. And there the Wildcats getting a little bit out of position. Allow the cutter there is, I believe that was Gleasing. Yep, she's at the foul line. Has it all set up so that the free throws initiate. And this should be a big concern because FGCU is really looking for the one-on-one matchup, and the Wildcats have been putting a lot of players on the foul line the last couple of ball games as Gleasing knocks down both free throws, and it's tied up at 2 with Griffey starting the offense in front of the FGCU bench. Cannon, who knocked down the first jumper, instead goes to the rolling workman as she goes inside and out to Cannon, who's alone at the top of the 3 but shoots an air ball, and it's out of bounds to the Wildcats. They've reset the shot clock. I didn't know if that hit the rim. And the officials are going to have a conversation. Going to put 7, I think I heard. 7 seconds are on the shot clock. Griffey's on the baseline's left side. Jalea Bennett, the lone player on the right side of the lane, who uses a workman screen, gets the catch in front of the Florida Gulf Coast bench and loses her footing. 5 seconds to shoot. Now 3 seconds, so they try to go up top to Cannon, but it's picked off and stolen by Atwater. She goes end-to-end to give FGCU its first lead. The Eagles use the first turnover to get their first field goal and now lead 4-2, 8.5 to play in the first quarter. Atwater up top defending Griffey as he cannot get shaken away after a screen. Go now top of the key. Workman goes to the left side, find Bennett. Goes back behind the three-point line, again attacking the baseline. Try to throw it out to Workman, who now turns, faces up, puts the ball down once and goes to the foul line. And Coleman, who's good from 15. Tied up at 4, 8 minutes and 6 seconds to play in the first quarter. Is Dunson pressured in the backcourt by Cannon, goes to the angle left side where a three-pointer is lifted up. Lauder misses the apparatus, but there's Atwater with the rebound. Shot clock did not reset. Atwater pounds the rock between the rings. 12 seconds now to shoot. Is Granigan looked like she was offering a pass. Instead, she wound up getting the catch, and now a whistle away from the basketball, and they're going to say Cannon was doing something to obstruct somebody's path. I don't think Key was defending the basketball there, but the Wildcats developing a bit of a reputation. As coming to the sideline, Gleason throws it into the backcourt and starts the offense with a new 30 seconds in Dunson. Granigan now, angle left. No, it's Gleason. Goes over to Granigan, who shoots up a three-pointer and scores that one. Granigan, a 41% three-point shooter, and this is the largest lead either side has had here in the early going. As Griffey now goes around a screen to the left, step back, tries to shoot a three-pointer, it's blocked, the ball's loose, and eventually claimed by Granigan. And now another foul, as that is the third on the Wildcats in less than 3 minutes, and it starts some movement on the bench. As I didn't see who that one was against, but more troubling than that is the situation where the Cats are already going to have such a hard time defending players in the half court. And now, well, before I can finish the thought, looking for a touchdown, but instead, ball was overthrown and stolen away by Cannon. Get it to Washington, who came in to replace Griffey. Now in front of the FGCU bench, Jalea Bennett goes to work, gets a little too far inside, can't get the finish, but she has a little miss, back up and in. 7-6, and now the Eagles looking to run, hurrying right to left. Dunson comes to the left, find Gleason, as she goes back up top, Granigan, and now near the center circle, Dunson. Holding on to the basketball with a 1-point lead, now angling toward the Arizona bench. And another whistle. And this time it's Workman. 4 team fouls now on the Wildcats. 6:48 to play in the first quarter. Coleman checks out. Deja James come in. And Brianna Workman, who played 2 minutes in this first half yesterday because she picked up a second foul, nearly picked up that one there as Atwater went right at her, but nice job defending and getting the rebound. The Cats hold despite getting whistled for their 4th foul. Now trying to feed Deja James as she goes through the lane, find Workman to the rim. She can't finish, but she is fouled. Said that James has been putting in performances that remind one of Draymond Green, and that time she got right into the act where getting her first touch, had some defenders surround her and goes through the lane to find Workman, who then was able to go one-on-one and just couldn't get the finish. And Kat's got an idea about how important she has become to the offense when she came in the second half and was really working hard to create, both for herself and her teammates. When you consider how rocky the game ended, had she been out there for more than 2 minutes in the first half, that might have been the difference. As Cannon comes out, is replaced by Evans. Jalea Bennett now the lone. Let's try to check that. Workman's at the foul line where she missed the first, but gets the second. So it ties it up at 7, 6:37 to play in the first quarter, and the Wildcats are in the backcourt defensively, though everybody sags back as Lauren Evans is going to follow Atwater over the time strike. Defending her very closely in the center circle. She comes to Granigan, angle left, right back top of the key. Atwater starts to go to the right side with the right hand, but now staying in front of her is Evans, forcing it toward the baseline left side where Granigan had a little bit of an opening at the short corner but couldn't get the catch. Turning it over are the Eagles for the second time, and Arizona will now have an opportunity to reclaim a lead. It's tied up at 7, 6:15 to go. Washington triggers the offense as she walks it into the front court. Workman looking to get it to Bennett, but the Cats turn it right back over. Pass a little bit too hot and wide right. Jalea was trying to keep the contact and post up, but could not get it now. And we also have, for the first time, Whitney Knight inbounding, getting very close to a 5-second violation, but she's able to feed Atwater. Knight, the 6'3" senior from Winston-Salem, reigning Atlantic Sun Player of the Year, sets a screen up high to send Granigan to the baseline. She hesitates, now kicks it back out to an open Atwater. Her three-pointer is rimming out, and the rebound is pursued by Bennett. Tied up at 7, less than 6 to go in the first quarter. Washington goes to the short corner right side where James looks for a cutting workman, but it's knocked out of bounds by Knight. Destiny Graham, Farron Bell come in. Jalea Bennett, Brianna Workman exit as the Wildcats went 12 deep yesterday. And already having rotated 10 players in the second game here in Puerto Rico. Really quick turnaround. Ball game, of course, starting, as you know, 9 o'clock in Arizona as Washington comes off a screen. She's open for 3, though. It's short off the front lip. The rebound pursued by Evans. Arizona with a second chance, tied at 7. 5:40 to play as Evans starts this on the right wing. Uses a grand screen. Can't get it to her on the roll, so she's along the perimeter to James. Front of the Eagle bench and Washington as she gets to the foul line. Drop it off for Bell, who was at the baseline, but it was a strip and stolen away, taken by one of the Eagles. That was Stephanie Haas who has the turnover, as that is the third time the Wildcats have given it away. And Granigan now holding on to the basketball on the outside. Fine Dunson is picked up by Bell. Trying to drop it off inside. Instead it's to Atwater. Looking on along the left where they settle for Granigan, putting up a three-pointer off the back rim. And there's Washington elevating. Looked like they wanted to try to get Knight, who's running the floor right now in front of James, and has that shot blocked to the baseline. Deja tried to get it back, but it's knocked out of bounds to Florida Gulf Coast. So the Wildcats with their bigs running, but just could not stay away from the very long Whitney Knight. She stands 6 feet 3 inches tall. She's got a reach that's even bigger than that. And she was swatting Deja's effort there after she ran the floor. The Cats tied with Florida Gulf Coast at 7 with 4:59 to go here in the first quarter on Arizona IMG Sports. Out of foul trouble is now again going baseline to baseline with the pressure and eventually have it forced into Dunson, and everybody sags into the front court as Dunson's going to be met in the center circle by Melina Washington. Whitney Knight finds a cutting Granigan. Oh my goodness, everybody was paying so much attention to the basketball there. Granigan took advantage and cut right in front of a couple Wildcats to get that easy look, and it's 9-7. She's now leading all scorers with 5 points. As the Wildcats have been going back and forth with this FGCU team, now trying to respond with Bell taking the pass right to left from Evans. Now in front of the FGCU bench, she backs away, uses a James screen to cut back to the right side, find Washington. Thought about a three-pointer, but she's being defended very closely by Atwater. Just 5 seconds on the shot clock as she goes baseline right, has to stop and pop from 10 out. She's good. Tie it up at 9, 4:10 to play. In the first quarter, Atwater already finds another play underneath. That's Haas who slips inside, and Coach Butts is irate on the bench. Her defense gives up 2 layups by watching the basketball a little bit too closely, and now the Wildcats again looking to respond as Evans traveled. That will make the 4th Wildcat turnover. As back to the bench goes FGCU. In for Grandigan and Knight come Lauder and Gleasing. Gleasing will inbound, so a very short lineup here for the Eagles as Dunson has the ball over the time stripe and is met by the 6-foot Theron Bell. Pounding the rock between the rings, she goes to Gleasing. Shot fake, now puts it down, gets to the top of the key, finds Atwater. She comes off the baseline, double teamed at the block, back outside. Haas has it, was open for a minute, instead she puts the ball down, goes to Gleasing in front of the Arizona bench, now through the lane with the dribble. She comes to the left side for a three-pointer that's lifted up by Lauder. It's not good, but Atwater's hustling for the rebound. Second opportunity for FGCU, where the Wildcats again forget about another one of the Florida Gulf Coast players. This time, that was Lauder, who was left all alone on the right block, and Coach Butts can't allow it to continue. She calls a timeout, and she was as animated as she has been this season, but it's easy to understand exactly where she's coming from. 3 straight trips down result with wide open layups. The first 2 were after a pretty hard cut, but that time it just looked like everybody forgot about Lauder. Gives a chance to remind you, though, that the Coaches Show, the Nia Butt Show, will be back. We can get an in-depth look at your Arizona women's basketball team each week. You join us every Tuesday night beginning January 12th, live from the Cellar at 6 p.m. The Cellar is located in the lower level of the Student Union Memorial Center. The broadcast will begin January 5th, where the broadcast will be had at McHale Center. But it's 6 o'clock every Tuesday coming up. You can hear Coach Butts right now. We're going to talk about those wide open layups as the Wildcats looking to respond. Mikkel Miller checks in during the timeout. Ball's away from her, going to Bell toward the FGCU bench. And then also got LaBrittany Jones back in there. She gets the catch at the foul line. Feeds Washington, who cannot knock down that three-pointer. And then pursuing the offensive rebound, Destiny Graham commits a foul, and that's the 5th. And FGCU is in the bonus. So after the miss, the Eagles are now coming down to shoot a couple of free throws. Could not see whom was fouled. It's going to be Haley Water, the third-year sophomore from Asheville, North Carolina, on the year shooting 81%. The first one's off the front lip and rolling out. So the Cats have been blown now for 5 whistles and have only been able to draw 1 off of the Eagles. The second is up, and 3 players go down. Whitney Jones was one of them. Also losing an ankle guard was Jamie Gleasing, and Atwater is replaced by Sydney McCaskill, checking in for the first time. 3 minutes even to go. FGCU leads 14-9. The Wildcats going through a bit of a dry spell. Just 1 bucket in the last 3 or 4 minutes. There's a little screen and roll between Washington and Jones, who puts it up strong on the left side of the hoop. She cannot get it in there, and then she's stripped away. Stolen again by Haas on the interior. Here comes McCaskill. She goes to the left. Quick extra pass as Gleasing was able to find Haas, but she couldn't get the finish. Nice look, though, as here come the Wildcats, having gotten the stop. Still down 5 with 2.5 to go. Going over the top of the defense, trying to force it into Jones, but it's tipped away by Dunson as she gets the loose ball back. Here comes McCaskill going through the lane to the right side, where Gleasing is all alone. Can't get the finish, and then the rebound is tipped away from her by Graham. Nice job there by Destiny to save that defensive possession. Now the Wildcats need some points. Down 14-9, 2:15 to go. As Bell takes a peek over at the bench, now turns the corner to get to the right lane line before she kicks it back out. Washington around a Jones screen. She goes rolling to the bucket, gets the catch, puts it down once, and scores it. Nice job there on the high screen and rolls. The Wildcats get the deuce to trail just by 3, and already into the front court comes Dunson and FGCU. Eagles have been feasting by finding cutting players, getting close to the rim, as Haas fakes a pass inside, comes to the left, and McCaskill got 1 player standing on her left, and so she puts it down with 11 seconds and skips it to the right. Dunson back outside, pops Lauder. Big jab step as she puts it down once and back out as Dunson puts it down, and it goes to the right block where there's Haas, who was able to get the possession on Farron Bell, and Coach Butts continues to bellow at her team because they are giving so many points right at the rim. 16-11, FGCU leads with 1:20 to go here in the first quarter. Jones again with the screen and roll outside with Washington. Beg your pardon, it looked like Jones was really reached in on and handcuffed, but no whistle, so instead she's able to set up Miller, who knocks down that three-pointer, and Jones nearly gets in, caught reach there instead. With a minute to go, it's swung around to the left side where Lauder shoots up a three-pointer and answers. 19-14, less than a minute to go, and Coach Butt's very unhappy with her team's defense. Miller, who just knocked down a three-pointer, left hand heavily wrapped as she goes crossing over and then sets up Graham as she gets it right up top and is able to drop it in over Gleasing. The Cats answer now really need a stop as the offense has started to come back. Trailing 3 with 35 seconds to go. Dunson to McCaskill and then drop it off as there's a nice recovery there by Graham. But my good heavens, the Eagles continue to exploit the Wildcats through these different cuts. Workman's going to come in, and Washington will check out. Jones also is going to be removed as Cannon also comes in for the Wildcats. Now 20 seconds on the shot clock as the ball is inbounded to Atwater. Picked up by Miller. She crosses over, gets away from her, loses the handle, is able to save it before going out of bounds on the baseline. Now back over and into Grandigen's hand. She sends it over to McCaskill, whose three-pointer is up off the back iron too strong. The rebound is elevated and head by Miller. Along the far sideline, hurries Cannon. The Wildcats can hold for the final shot as they come to the right side, and Bell to the top of the key now looking for Workman. She splits two defenders, nearly loses the handle, able to get it back to Miller. She's got a foot on the line. She puts it up from 18. It's not good. The rebound's tipped, nearly had by Cannon, but before anybody can claim, the buzzer sounds. It was a furious final few minutes, especially considering all of the layups that Florida Gulf Coast was able to put together, but still the Cats hang tight and go into the first quarter. Everybody on the same page defensively. After the timeout, it was a little bit better, but still a couple of looks and a couple of nice defensive recoveries to prevent some other easier buckets. But now the Wildcats trailing 3 and have Ashanti Coleman in out of the timeout, trying to spin back and kick it out to Workman, but the long arms from Whitney Knight knocked that away, and the Eagles come back after what is now the 5th Arizona turnover. Retreating Atwater starts the coming off the block. Grandigen has the catch on the right wing. Now out high to Atwater straight away. 10 seconds for the Eagles to shoot as she looks inside. Now puts the ball down, gets around Cannon, puts a high shot off of the backboard over Coleman's reach and was able to convert. 21-16 now. This is the largest lead that Florida Gulf Coast has had. 9 minutes and 14 seconds to go here in the half. The Wildcats, having dropped the first game in Puerto Rico, now playing a really high-profile team, looking to recover and get back into the win column. Working it around the perimeter. Cannon now hands off to Bell. She puts it down with the left hand. Gets inside the three-point line. Now tries to turn the corner and split defenders, but it's stripped and stolen away by McCaskill, but it's taken right back by Cannon. Wildcats turn it over, but get it right back, and now Bell will start the offense. Again, getting a long pass from Key into the front court. Off of the baseline comes Cannon, has it angle right. Using a workman screen, tries to get it to her on the roll, but it was read like a book and stolen away by Atwater. Coming to the left and Knight, she puts it down once, tries to cross over, but can't shake Cannon, so she goes to the trailing McCaskill's three-pointers up the front lip. The rebound's tipped, taken by Bell. 5 points, the Wildcats trail with 8.5 to go in the first half as Bell now starts the offense to the Eagles side of the floor, right in front of their bench, and hands off to Jalea Bennett. Bennett gets inside the three-point line, goes top to the key. Coleman wants to find a cutting workman. Instead, it's on the outside to Bell. Knocked away on the reception by McCaskill. She comes to the three-point line with 10 seconds to shoot. Find Workman, who tries to bounce it inside to Coleman. Backing down Granigan. Now she spins over that left shoulder, scores it. First Wildcat points here in the second quarter. Still they trail 21-18 with less than 8 minutes to go. Dunson pounding the rock near midcourt. Can't shake Bennett. Finally, Whitney Knight comes out to take the reception. She's going one-on-one with Workman. Off of the baseline comes Dunson. Instead to go to Atwater, angling to the right. Still out high. She puts it down with the right hand. Now trying to clear the area and go back over to Dunson. I thought she was going to try to find a cutting Granigan. Instead, it went out of bounds as there was a little bit of a miscommunication. Now McCaskill checks out. Knight leaves. Haas is back out there. I believe Lauder also joins her on the floor. 21-18. FGCU is in front. The Wildcats with Washington back in on the stoppage and play. Starts the offense with Workman looking to find Julia Bennett on the post-up. Now get it to her on the catch. She is pushed by Dunson, and there's the first whistle here in the second. It's just the second time Florida Gulf Coast has been called for a foul, and that is Dunson's second, as she has twice been the victim. I'm pretty sure that's who they got. Yep, that is her second. So after the inbound to Washington in the corner on the near side, she gets to the elbow on the right, handed off to Workman. She's got both feet on the three-point line. I don't think that was the time in the shot clock that the Wildcats wanted to see that shot lifted up. Coach Butts shakes her head negatively as the rebound is had by FGCU. Now Haas has it in front of the Arizona bench. Fake left, go right against Workman, loses her footing. Now they dive upon it, and it's a jump ball. Nice job there by Brown and Workman defending the penetration. Talked about that also in the opener as the Wildcat bigs are really going to have to get out and defend the dribble drives, and their Workman proven capable as Katie Metter is going to come in and replace Granigan. Metter, this senior from Salem, Illinois, breaks toward the far sideline, though they can't get it to her. Now she cuts back toward the block, and instead it's outside to Atwater. 12 seconds for FGCU to shoot as Haas has it at the top of the key from Atwater. And go to Dunson, angle right, looking for Metter. Instead, you want to drop it off inside. Just 5 seconds now on the timer as they go to Haas, 3 seconds. As she goes on the penetration, puts it off the back iron. What's the call? Ashanti Coleman fouled her. Did they count the bucket? Yes, I guess they did. That was by far the least demonstration that I've ever seen from an official. But here is FGCU back at the foul line where Haas can't convert the three-point play. So she does get the deuce. 23-18. The Eagles are in front as Workman takes the catch from Washington, tries to go back out, but she has it thrown right back at her, and then she goes on the attack, and she is hit and fouled by Lauder. I tell you, they got me on the other side of the scores table, so it's like trying to figure out who the officials are signaling through a mirror. And I'm still not used to it. Apologies, of course. As here's Brianna Workman at the foul line for the second time today. First free throw is up and in. Another one coming up as the Wildcats have Coleman and Bennett near the blocks. That one's short. Bennett nearly with the offensive rebound. She saves it before going out of bounds. Now she needs somebody to come help her out as she used her dribble to secure the possession. Gets it to Cannon, and now back over to Washington as the Cats have the basketball. Trailing 4 as Coleman goes to the right, looking to get a cutting Workman. Instead, it's back outside Washington. Now handoff Bennett in front of the Eagle bench. Accelerate to the baseline. She is hit. No, she said to double dribble. So the Cats turn it over now. I'm going to call that the 6th time. 6 minutes and 15 seconds to go as Cannon accelerates to go stride for stride with Atwater. Atwater now sets the half-court offense up by finding Metter. Puts the ball down once, goes right back to Atwater. Try to set up a backdoor cut, but instead go on the outside to Dunson. 12 seconds for FGCU to shoot as there's a cut from Haas. Gets in front of Workman, and the Wildcats continue to not be hurt by the penetration, but it is the off-ball cuts that are leading to so many points. As now the Eagles have their largest advantage at 6. Coleman gets to Bennett on the angle right side. Go back over to Coleman. And she now squares up, shoots it up, scores it. She's leading all Wildcat scorers with 6 points and makes it again a 4-point game. And now Arizona just needs to get some stops as FGCU is shooting incredibly well from the field, right at 50% here with 5:23 to play in the second quarter. Atwater pounding it between the circles. Now goes to Haas near the right wing on the outside. Right back to Dunson up top. Puts the ball down. Tries to go down the left lane line. Instead hands off to Haas. Nearly loses the handle as it's nearly poked away. She's able to secure it. Go inside and out now as a three-pointer is lifted up by Metter and out of bounds off of Coleman after she couldn't get a secured handle on the rebound. The Wildcats looked like they had finally denied the cutters, denied the penetration, and defended the outside shot but couldn't complete the defensive possession with the rebound. And will now have to do so with another 30 seconds put up on the shot clock. Dunson trying to force it inside. Eventually is able to get it to Lauder. Quickly up top to Atwater, who's denied on the penetration by Cannon. So it's to Haas now near the top of the key. Dunson comes out of the painted area and has it on the left wing. And now another cut with Haas wide open underneath. 27-21, 4:44 to go. And the Wildcats struggling to defend the off-ball players. And now Workman goes spinning into traffic. And hold your breath there because the Cats were whistled for 4 offensive fouls similarly. But that time the block is called on one of the FGCU Eagles. And it stops play with 4 minutes and 36 seconds to go in the half. And the Cats are down 27-21 here on Arizona IMG Sports.
She wasn't in NIT.
Not yet.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
Cats trailing 27-21 as FGCU now shooting 49%. The Wildcats also shooting very well from the floor, 45%, but Arizona has turned it over 8 times. That has led to 8 Florida Gulf Coast points. Wildcats also being outscored in the paint 18-10 in large part ever since about the 4-minute mark in the first quarter. Florida Gulf Coast has been able to exploit the Wildcats with these off-ball cuts that Coach Butts has called a timeout to attempt to correct, but have really not been able to do so with any regularity. And now got an official went over to the scores table. Well, apparently there was some sort of situation that led to a team foul because I don't know what happened, but Workman now has the catch coming from the left to the right side. Don't see who delivered it because I was trying to figure out what the controversy was at the scores table, but the controversy has passed and the Cats trail just 4. Now are trying to keep the ball away from these cutting players from the Eagles as Atwater has it at the top of the key, goes over to Granigan, angle left, being defended very closely by Workman. picks up her dribble, now looks for somebody to come and help her out. 7 seconds on the FGCU shot clock as Atwater takes a peek. She's got it at the top of the key. Starts turning the corner near the elbow, puts it up, and it's off the front lip, and taken away by Workman. Ooh, she nearly lost that rebound as the Cats now with a chance to again chip into what was a couple of times during the second quarter a 6-point Eagle lead. Coleman at the top of the key goes over the top for Workman, puts the ball down once. She's being reached in upon. Eventually was able to get it up, but my goodness, Haas was there. And I don't know if that's who they wound up getting. Nope, they went with Grandigan. Haas has already stripped a rebound away from a couple of Wildcat players. Just sneaking in there, the 5'8 senior from Avon Lake, Ohio, but nearly had it away for a third time. And now Workman, who is the only Arizona player to have taken any free throws, puts the first one up and scores it. She's now 3 for 5. That is how she has all of her points. Oh, correction, she just got that layup. Whitney Knight comes in, replaces Grandigan there on the left block. She's replacing Dunson. And Brianna's got another free throw coming. Second is away and good. 27-25, the Cats have scored the last 4 points. They've also defended successfully the last 4 trips down. That may be more important at this juncture as Atwater breaks the time stripe, now angles toward the right, looking for Knight to come off the block, has it to her, she squares up against Workman. Brianna defending the dribble, she backs away, now hesitates, goes down that right lane line, puts it up short, rebound is taken by Workman, though she nearly loses out of bounds and eventually does so, and Coach Butts now demanding to know why there wasn't a reach-in foul or a tie-up situation, but the official just kind of shrugs his shoulders, so the Cats don't have to do it again. Second time that a defensive rebound bounces off of the end line out of one of the Wildcat hands as Grandigan has it near the outside on the right. Give it to Haas, who comes out of the painted area and has it at the top of the key now. Holding the basketball, goes back in front of the Arizona bench to Grandigan. Grandigan steps left, comes right, backs into Cannon, loses her footing and loses the basketball. It's taken away by Washington. Here come the Wildcats with a chance to tie or take the lead as Melina hesitates at the top of the key, picks up her dribble at the foul line, goes to Workman, then gets it right back. Steps inside the three-point line, again goes on the attack, puts it off the glass and scores it, and she's fouled. Welcome back, Melina Washington, the Wildcats' leading scorer. Had a really rough game yesterday. She knocked down a three-pointer in the first half, but then was silent for the duration. And that one was an awful lot of hesitancy and jabbing and picking and finally scoring it off the glass as she had to really massage that opportunity. But massage she did as now LBJ comes back in to replace Workman, and the Wildcats, having trailed throughout much of the last 10 minutes of the ball game, take a 28-27 lead. Arizona's on a little 7-0 spurt here. And it has been cued by the defense as Knight now well behind the three-point line, matched up with the Brittany Jones, gets it to the cutting Haas, who goes on the attack, but Evans is called for the reach and the knock and the push. Yes, they do get Evans. So back to the foul line go the Eagles. As this time, it is Stephanie Haas, who is 0 for 1, make it 0 for 2. Florida Gulf Coast now 4 of 6, as are the Wildcats from the charity stripe. And as lopsided as the whistles were going in the first quarter, it swung around now as the Wildcats are in the bonus. It's just the second foul that has been called on any of the Arizona players, and now with 2:25 to go, that's huge because the Cats haven't had to sacrifice any minutes. They're instead able to go into the second half without any foul problems, though the turnover problem remains. As that time trying to find a cutting Washington, Ashanti Coleman airmailed the pass, and she couldn't get but a fingertip on it, so it's tied at 28. That is now 9, make it 10 Arizona turnovers, and Stephanie Haas starts the offense for FGCU. Gleason comes off of the left wing and finds Whitney Knight, whose three-pointer is up and in. LBJ was late on the closeout. And the net underneath the Eagles' hoop has been disheveled, and that happened an awful lot during the shoot-around. but time was called. It has been replaced, and after the Wildcats scored 7 straight, FGCU answers with 4 of its own. Minute 52 to go in the half. The offense has started to Miller. Using an LBJ screen, try to get it to her on the roll. Instead, it's back outside Washington. All this on the near sideline. Coleman has it outside the foul line. Back over to Miller, who takes a very deep three. It's not good. She pursues her own miss, though, and has that with another opportunity for the Cats. Back over to Washington as the Cats have Evans running the baseline. Eventually get it to her. She pops out on the wing. Put the ball down with the left hand. Gets to the foul line. Back out to Jones, as she's now going to take a deep three. That rims out off the front lip, and a couple of potentially poor decisions there for the Wildcats. Didn't yield anything, and now here comes FGCU with a chance to continue its 4-0 answer. Water puts the ball down to get to the top of the key, then popping back out comes Atwater, looking to the left in Whitney Knight. Instead, she goes to the right side, where it's again had by Gleason. This time she sets up Knight. Her three-pointer's up over LBJ, but that time the closeout was there. She might have got a hand on it. It was an air ball. Loose ball claimed by Miller to Washington as Molina starts the offense, trailing 31-28, 50 seconds to go in the second quarter as Washington goes to the left, bounce it over to Miller, fake a pass instead. Instead, she goes back out toward the wing. Puts it down now to get to the foul line and off to the right side. Coleman accelerates right to left off the glass. She scores it. She's got 8 points here in the first half, and it's 31-30. FGCU cannot hold for the last shot. There are about 5 or 6 seconds separating the shot and game clock as Atwater wants to call timeout, and the official didn't hear it. And she went from assertive to panicked. As Molina Washington was there on the approach, the timeout was eventually heard. Have you signed up for Arizona Text for Ticks yet? You can buy tickets with just a simple text message from your mobile phone. Take advantage of this easy and convenient way to buy basketball tickets. Sign up for Arizona Text for Ticks tonight by logging on to ArizonaWildcats.com/text-for-ticks or text CATS to 20123. That's 20123. Wildcats playing their second of 3 games here in Puerto Rico. They're going to complete the trip tomorrow with a game against the same Gardner-Webb team that opened the year by beating North Carolina. You can hear that one at 1:30 p.m. on 1400 KTUC. Our broadcast will begin at 1:15. Wildcats dropped the first to Southern Methodist, but are going back and forth with a very good FGCU team. As the ball is inbounded on the near sideline, Gleason goes into the backcourt, and Dunson. She's got Water and Gleason waiting on either side of the lane as she wets the time, drip away by pounding in the center circle. Now comes to the left. Atwater sets a screen, then flashes out of it, and goes on the attack down that right side of the lane and got right by Deja James to get the quick score. Now the Wildcats got to hurry. There's 6 seconds left as they trail by 3. Washington probably not going to get the ball out of her hands as she goes to the right, puts up a three-pointer. It's an air ball. Evans had the rebound, but there's just not enough time as she put it back up and in, but the buzzer had sounded, and the Cats will go into the locker room having really flirted with a disastrous first half, allowing FGCU to shoot almost 50% because they had, about 6 or 7 minutes, and they were able to get to the rim at will with so many a backdoor cut. But the Cats were eventually able to slow that tide and eventually even took a short lead using a 7-0 run, but will go into the locker room trailing 33-30 here on Arizona IMG Sports. first half without Taryn Griffey, as she's back out there and will initiate the offense as the team switches over from the right to the left side. And Griffey starts it going to the red-hot Coleman, and she's outside the three-point line being defended very closely and forces it back over to Griffey. One bounce and then hand off to Cannon on the left wing. Gets to the foul line. She pulls up from 15 away and scores it much as the game had begun. The Cats were able to get Key off on that mid-range jumper and makes it a one-point affair here with FGCU initiating its initial offensive possession by going off to Granigan, who's holding the ball well on the outside of that left wing. Back up top, Dunson wants to go down the right lane line, right around Griffey, who doesn't want to pick up her third foul. The Wildcats are going to have to figure out how to defend the dribble without sacrificing their point guard, as she did not look like she wanted any part of that. And kudos to FGCU for exploiting it. Here's Coleman now with the two toes on that three-point line, puts the ball down once and asks for Griffey to come and help her out. 12 seconds for the Wildcats to shoot as Workman goes to the right side, finds Bennett, puts the ball down, now picks it up in traffic and has to go out to Coleman. 7 seconds now as Cannon goes on the attack to the baseline's left side, puts it up, but it was blocked out of bounds. The Cats will have the ball back, but just 3 seconds to shoot. Jalea sets up on the right side of the lane. 3 other players on the left, initially looking for Workman. Get it to Cannon. She's got to pull it up from 15 away. She's got it on the baseline again. Key now with 6 points. She starts the second half with a couple of buckets, and Atwater now already at the three-point line before she starts to reverse it back to Granigan. Instead, she pulls up for 3 right in Coleman's face. She knocks it down, make it now 38-34 without any hesitation there early in the shot clock. Granigan knocks that in, and it's a 4-point game. Griffey gets inside the arc and then goes up top to Coleman, trying to force it inside, but it was poked away by Granigan. Looking for Workman, instead it's stolen to Dunson. She's picked up in the backcourt by Bennett, trying to find a couple of players bouncing outside. The most aggressive is Gleasing. Now she goes and sets up while Dunson loses a shoe and eventually goes off to Atwater in front of the Eagles bench. Atwater directing traffic, now goes on the attack, stops short of the baseline, kicks it back out. Gleasing's open for another three-pointer. That time it rims out, but there's Atwater hustling for the offensive board. 3 players. She's somehow able to get a shot up, but can't get it to drop. The rebound is pulled down by Coleman to Griffey, and now Cannon has it in front of the Wildcat bench. With a left hand, she gets to the elbow. Back outside, Coleman. Might have double dribbled there, but instead she goes over to Griffey. If she gets inside, shovel it off on the right to Bennett, who goes into traffic, hits a couple of players, cannot get it in, and now trying to get the offensive rebound. I think that was Ashanti. First team foul on either side. It is Coleman's second. And the Cats come up dry on their last couple of possessions, and FGCU holding on to that 4-point lead. Neither side led by more than 6 in the first half. As it's off to Atwater in front of the Eagle bench, and she goes on the attack right by Cannon, but leaves it up just short. Now Key has the defensive board and is already to the foul line. Going to the right block. Nice move by Bennett to slide by one of the Eagles and put that one up and in off the glass. Very nice move with the basketball there by Bennett. She could have just gone crashing in and endangering an offensive foul. Instead, she slid right by, and now here come the Eagles trying to answer. Atwater, who's been so much of the offense, not just today, but throughout the season, surveys and instead goes to Granigan in front of the Eagle bench. Now kick it outside with an extra pass from Gleasing. It's back over to Dunson, who then finds a nice cut there from Lauder as the Wildcats had, for the most part in the second part of that second quarter, were able to stop that action, but that time Lauder was able to exploit, and it's back to a 4-point advantage. High post left side, Workman turns now and faces up outside the block. She's bumped, and a foul is going to be whistled on Granigan. And that is her second. She joins Dunson with a little bit of a foul situation. And that'll bring Haas off of the bench. But she is replacing Atwater. Now Whitney Knight also comes in late. She replaces Granigan. Dunson remains out there. She's got 2 fouls, and Atwater's a little bit shaken up right now. So a new shot clock for the Wildcats as Bennett inbounds. It's deflected to Griffey. She's able to get it at the baseline. Tried to go around to Deja James Green, who just checked in. Now she's trying to post up and kick it back out, but Whitney Knight's long reach is able to disrupt that one. The ball's free. Now Bennett's on the floor. It's still loose, and now a tie-up. Florida Gulf Coast has a possession arrow. I think that Deja might have been better off just going to work with her back to the bucket. She was being defended by Lauder, who was listed as a 5'11 player, but of course, James, she's a legit 6'1". I don't know about Lauder. So she could have gone to work, but instead, here's Whitney Knight trying to inbound, eventually forcing it off to Rotter. Now into the hands of Gleasing, and she's going to control and settle everything down as everybody comes rushing up into the front court, and Dunson will initiate the offense with everybody spread out wide, eventually get it over to Haas, who puts it down once, now bounces it off to Lauder, looking for a cutter. It was Dunson, but that time Cannon was able to slide in front, knock it away, steal it away. Here come the Wildcats trailing 40-36. Workman makes one move toward the baseline, then kick it back out to Griffey, now skip it to the left, and Cannon. James sends her to the right side where she gets to the foul line. She's bumped, no whistle, can't get the shot up and in, and she's frustrated because it looked like she was certainly fouled there. Instead, the rebound is had by Dunson. 3 Wildcats are in the back court, but now they recover as Haas goes on the move and tries to find Knight in the corner, but it's out of bounds. Few turnovers here in this second half from Florida Gulf Coast. I think that might make it 8 on the ball game, but the Wildcats, both in the first half and here in the third quarter, haven't been able to turn many of these turnovers into points, and are trailing 40-36 with 5 minutes and 40 seconds to go here in the third. Griffey walks it over the time stripe and comes to the left wing, and Bennett being defended very closely by Gleasing. She goes now over to James and off to the right side where Griffey pops off the end line and has it, puts it down a couple of times and finds Workman, and now we got a whistle away from the basketball where Deja James is going to be said to be too aggressively trying to post up Grandigan. And that will get Destiny Graham off of the bench as Workman's going to come out. That's just James first. Second team foul with less than 5.5 to go, and the Wildcats again going end line to end line with the pressure. Inbounded to Gleasing, get it to Dunson. Atwater is still being tended to on the bench as the offense is started off to the right side. Grandigan looking for a cutting Haas, can't get it to her, so she puts it down once and then goes back to Haas on the right wing. She uses her left hand to go to the middle of the floor, find Gleasing, who then goes right back to that left side, and Grandigan. 8 seconds for FGCU to shoot. She's holding on to the basketball out there, eventually turns the corner on Bennett, who puts a big swing, is able to save that one by throwing it back. And they're going to say that she had possession as it was recovered by Florida Gulf Coast. Now a three-pointer lifted up by Grandigan. No good on that one, but Knight's going to be called for a push. She doesn't like that call, but I think it's the least they could do because I don't know how you make the argument that Jalea had possession. I kept waiting for the buzzer to sound, but instead they reset the shot clock at 30 seconds, and the Wildcats pick up a huge break as eventually Knight was whistled for that foul. That'll be the second team foul, and just her first, and it stops play with 4:45 to go, and the Wildcats trailing 40-36 here on Arizona IMG Sports. On her right knee, and right now getting a bit of a massage. Might just be a cramping situation as the Cats have turned it over 3 times. FGCU 2 times here in the second half. Arizona, as a result, unable to make good on any good defensive possessions. They're trying to force it inside where Evans was posting up on Gleason, but it's tipped away from Graham and stolen on the entry pass. Dunson now going on the attack around Washington. Kick it out to the corner on the near side where Knight wanted to pop a 3. Instead, she's going to try to skip it to the left side, but it's intercepted by James. Back from the Cats with Washington finding Cannon already underneath. She's got to adjust herself as she was buried underneath. Couldn't get the shot up as she was directly underneath the hoop. It's blocked and stolen away. Dunson now goes to Granigan, who's already open at the right wing. Not good. Bouncing out of bounds. The Cats again dodging bullets, as FGCU has had a couple of wide open looks that they have not been able to convert. And Atwater's off the bench. She's moving very gingerly, though. And she'll come in to replace Gleason. Cats down 40-36. As fluid as the offense was for both sides here in the second half, not necessarily the case. The Cats 1 of 8 with now 4 turnovers. FGCU 3 of 8 with 2 turnovers. As Evans has it in front of the Cat bench. Arizona nearly with another ball taken away. Cannon goes to the left block, and Graham, she's double teamed. Haas reaching in on her, gets it away. Now back to the retreating Washington, is going to reset with just 6 seconds on the shot clock. Washington now trying to accelerate around Knight, who's going to cut her off a little bit tardily, and she is called for her second foul. Sydney McCaskill comes in to replace Dunson, as Knight remains out there with her 2 fouls. Lauren Evans inbounding on the baseline left side. The Wildcats have another 30-second shot clock. Get the ball to Cannon. She splits 2 defenders near that left block and scores that off the glass, trimming the lead to just 2. The Eagles with that advantage as McCaskill initiates the offense coming over the time stripe, picked up by Washington. Goes to Haas outside the left wing, and now on the outside, Atwater has her first touch in a few minutes because of her extended absence after being tended to on the bench. Retreating past the 3-point line, she comes to the right side, and McCaskill looking for a cutting Haas. She's able to get Cannon in the air. And she's going to say that after the ball fake, she came down and hit her on the head. Coach Budd saying that there was a traveling violation before the foul, but instead it will go down as the 3rd team foul on the Wildcats. And Knight with the inbound, steps left, goes right, gets by Graham, who then is able, to recover and block that shot. I was surprised that she was able to recover that closely, as now we got a foul underneath, as James has already been called once for posting up with too much aggression, but that time she was being pushed underneath by Granigan. So the 4th team foul now on FGCU, as the Cats poised to spend the last 3 minutes in the bonus. Neither side has been able to get to the line very often. Both have just taken 7 free throws, as this time the Cats are able to get Cannon going to the right block on the inbound and score that to tie it at 40. And now Washington foolishly reaches on that inbound play and is whistled for the team's 4th foul. And FGCU now will spend the last 3 minutes in the bonus. McCaskill, who just was able to induce that whistle off of Washington, inbounds it to Atwater. Let's see if she's looking as sharp athletically, because she was certainly gingerly coming into the scores table. She goes off to Lauder, angling to the right, right back to Atwater. She turns, rips through, faces up, and then comes to Granigan, now angle right. 11 seconds to shoot as she continues to want to pursue a dribble move around James until she tried to find a cutting Haas, but the pass was picked off by Graham to Washington, who's already in the interior. Can't get that one off the glass, and now a traveling violation. The Wildcats were hoping that perhaps that maybe a whistle would be called, but instead a whistle was blown, and it was for a traveling violation. I chuckle because that was what Coach Butts wanted, and last time there was anything remotely controversial, and she's talking to the official about just that as we speak. So the Cats turn it over instead for the 14th time, and it's still tied at 40 with Haas going to work with the dribble around Evans. Eventually coming out of the painted area, Atwater goes back to the top of the key, and Lauder thinks about it, shoots up a 3-pointer that rims out, and there's James keeping Atwater away from the rebound. Still knotted at 40, 2 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter, as there's Graham. After the defender had fallen down, she was a little bit more open than she had thought, and now what? They're going to say Destiny Graham hit somebody in the head and is whistled for the foul. Coach Butts says that they were both going for the ball. Well, okay, we of course don't get any replays here, but I defer to Butts' angst because she's still talking to the official. He's saying they were both going to the ball, and he says that she swung her arm out and hit her in the head, but I'm not so sure. First free throw from Granigan was had. Second one is on the way and is short, and the rebound is had by James. Back down to the Cats, 41-40. It scored the last 4. As there's a quick pass inside. Graham is able to put the ball down once and quickly scoop to give the Wildcats their first lead here in the second half, 42-41. Atwater hurries into the front court. She's now pounding the rock angle right. Outside, they're able to find Lauder, who goes now to Haas right near that right wing. Bouncing outside, McCaskill goes back to that right wing and again to Atwater, who wants to skip it to the left. Instead, she puts the ball down. Now it goes on the attack around that baseline, puts it up high, too strong, and the rebound is out of bounds to the Wildcats. Brittany Jones checks in for the first time in the third quarter. Gleesing had a very short break as she's back in. Granigan steps out as the Cats lead 42-41 with 1 minute and 18 seconds to go here in the third quarter. It had been a 4 or 5 or 6 point lead for FGCU throughout this third period until Keandra Cannon was able to get to both blocks on consecutive inbound plays. And now Washington, after McCaskill falls down, goes on the attack. And oh, is this an offensive foul? I don't know who he ever signaled. Okay, there is it. That was on number 2. That was on Atwater. Just need a little bit more flair when you're making the call is all. All I ask for is I'm sitting on the other side of the scorer's table. Washington's first free throw is up and in to give the Cats a 2-point lead. Arizona's largest lead has been just 2 points. Florida Gulf Coast, on the other hand, led by 6 a couple of times, and now the Wildcats with their biggest advantage at 44-41 and in the backcourt defensively. Ball is inbounded to Haas in front of the Arizona bench as she's going up stride for stride with Evans. Goes behind the back to try to split the middle of the floor, looking to try to get it to Atwater. Instead, she's trying to find some way to shake Evans and eventually get it over to Dunson in the center circle. 12 seconds on the shot clock as Atwater goes to the near sideline, and Lauder right back to Atwater with just 6 seconds on the timer, trying to direct traffic. She eventually gets LBJ in the air, now whips up the teardrop that's not good, and then crashing into Evans. Lauren's able to maintain. The Wildcats looking to extend a 3-point lead here with 33 seconds to go in the quarter. Washington penetrated but then forced back out. Goes to the left around the Brittany Jones screen again, trying to get the contact as she flips that up but just can't get it to drop. That foul. That is going to be Dunson's third. And Washington, who just converted a couple of free throws, back at the charity stripe. First one's up and in. Wildcats continue to extend their largest lead as Granigan now comes in to replace Lauder. And the same 5 or 6 have been rotated regularly here for FGCU in the second half. Went deeper down the bench in the first, but trying to ride the horses here as the Cats now have a 5-point lead with 25 seconds to go. Arizona in the same situation yesterday against Southern Methodist before they hit the wall, trying to finish defensively very strongly. There was a late bucket there in the third quarter that made that a 2-point game. Here's Dunson going from the left to the right side, but cut off by Bennett, so she goes top of the key now. Atwater picked up by LBJ, now switched off and defended by Evans with 4 seconds in the quarter. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, and she can't get a shot up. Gets it to Haas, who puts it up just off the front lip. It won't drop, and Arizona, which trailed by 3 at the break, goes into the fourth quarter leading 46-41. Now can the offense continue? Can the defense also keep these cutters away from the bucket for the final 10 minutes? We'll find it all out right after this here on Arizona IMG Sports. 51% on the game and did not attempt any three-pointers in that third quarter. That's a big one because we talked about how in the first half when Arizona was shooting everything but the three, it was 11 of 15. So the Cats getting away from the kryptonite. Griffey's back out there having had her right leg massage. She starts the offense by dropping it off to Jones. Now it's sent around the horn and eventually back into Taryn's hands in front of the Arizona bench. Evans now comes off of the painted area and is able to get the catch near the top of the key. Now she shoots a perimeter shot and has that one come up short off the front lip. Whitney Knight with the rebound, accelerates into the front court and kicks it out to Granigan. His three-pointers and air ball rebounded by Jalea Bennett. So a pretty busy 30 seconds here to start everything as the ball is thrown over the top of the defense into Brittany Jones, who goes on the attack on the left side of the hoop, puts it up with the right hand, can't get it to drop, and Whitney Knight has the rebound for FGCU. Here's Gleasing in front of the Eagle bench. Goes to the top of the key and Atwater. Picked up by Brittany Jones as LBJ defending the smaller perimeter player. Bouncing it outside now. Whitney Knight has it near the left wing. Workman out there defending with 12 seconds on the shot clock. She puts it down. Goes toward the baseline. Puts it up too strong, but there the rebound is had by Granigan. Can't get it away from a couple of Wildcats, so she's now circling it out with the dribble, and it's reversed to the right side, and Dunson. Dunson with a whistle away from the basketball. What is this? Evans. Coach Butts is turning in a circle, raising her hands over her head, scratching her head as she was not in agreement with that call. So another 30 seconds and a cut with Atwater getting it, now bumped by LBJ. And two quick fouls. This one starting as the first quarter did for the Cats, where they were whistled 4 times in the first 3.5 minutes, and you don't want FGCU going to the foul line an awful lot as they trail 46-41, but now with their fourth opportunity after 2 fouls and an offensive rebound. Granigan to the angle left side, and Dunson switched up and picked up by Griffey. She goes right back to Atwater, who's being defended by Bennett. Looking for a cutting Dunson. She's holding on to the basketball now with 10 seconds on the timer. She goes up top, Gleasing, angles right to left, and goes back to the top of the key. Granigan picked up by Griffey. She gets a little bit of a screen, goes to the rim, but there's the defensive recovery underneath. Jones is able to get the block. Loose ball picked up by Evans. Now all the way to the front court where Bennett tried to get to the end line, but she was cut off, so she's back out to Workman, puts the ball down once, stops, spins, gets a player in the air. There's no whistle. How is that not a foul? She's able to get the loose ball back, and now she is eventually reached in on. Say the possession arrow. I mean, Whitney Knight was on her back, but there was no foul. And instead, the Cats lose the basketball because of a reach-in and a tie-up. So Arizona now defending it again in the backcourt. The ball is inbounded to Gleasing as they get it over to Dunson, who walks it over the time stripe, and now Florida Gulf Coast has 1 point in the last almost 7 minutes. Goes to Knight on the left wing. Atwater, top of the key. Takes a jab step against Evans. She's got the quickness matchup here, but she is slow to recognize, so she retreats to reset with 8 seconds on the shot clock. Dunson now turns and faces up. There's 4 seconds to shoot. Crosses over at the foul line. Spins back. A shot blocked, and eventually it's picked off by Jones. That's her second block in as many possessions as she now goes on to move and puts it up. No good, but what is going to be called? What is this? A blocking foul on Atwater, who gets up slowly. So LBJ to the foul line, and nobody has scored here in the first 2.5 minutes, but it has not been for a want of activity. And Jones puts it up off the front rim, but can't get it to fall. LBJ got to the foul line 6 times yesterday. She made 5 of them. She's able to convert the second, as that makes it a 6-point game. Florida Gulf Coast has not scored since the 5-minute mark in the third quarter. The Wildcats have only been able to extend a lead 6 points over that period. 7:20 to go as Dunson goes on the outside of Whitney Knight without hesitation. She shoots up a 3 and scores it over Workman, and that is what you were worried could happen when points were so hard to come by, and Knight's able to step back and just drain a three-pointer to stop an 11-1 run from the Wildcats. Now that Arizona needing to answer, as they have not put in a bucket here in this fourth quarter. Griffey comes to the left side. She's got Knight in front of her, tries to step inside the entry pass, but just knocks it out of bounds. The Cats will have 11 seconds on the shot clock, leading 47-44. Going to have Bennett come over and inbound in the corner. Workman and Jones on the outside with Evans and Griffey on either block. Set a screen to get the ball in Taryn's hands. She comes out now with 9 seconds to shoot. Going to circle it all the way over to midcourt. Nearly loses the basketball. Goes out with 5 seconds to shoot. Goes crashing into Knight. Loses her footing. And Whitney Knight is being given the all-star treatment here on the defensive end. She recently was seen jumping on Workman's back and not getting a whistle, and usually when you go sliding a little bit late into somebody and they lose their footing, a foul is going to be called, but not so, as there's 6 minutes and 40 seconds to go. Florida Gulf Coast trails through, but has the basketball again, trying to get it to Knight on the outside. She makes a cut toward the bucket, but then bounces back out, can't get it to her, so it's to Dunson on the left wing. Knight now comes over in front of the FGCU bench. Workman denying her nicely, so it's to Atwater with 10 seconds to shoot. Matched up one-on-one with Evans again. She crosses over, gets to the left, puts it up with the left hand, can't get the finish, and there's LBJ with the rebound. Here come the Wildcats, still leading 3, but still looking for their first bucket. Washington goes to the short corner left side. Bennett wants to go through the lane, couldn't get it to LBJ. She's got to retreat and get it now reset with Washington. Still lots of time to shoot. It's the Wildcats with 6 minutes to go, lead 3. Molina standing in the center circle now, just 10 seconds to make it happen. As Jones come out to offer a high screen, crosses over, gets it to her outside the foul line. She puts it up and scores it from 17. There's that first bucket, and the Cats lead back up to 5. 5:44 to go as Dunson goes to the corner far side where a three-pointer's lifted up short. Rebound is pulled down by Washington. Hitting the ground hard was Grandage, and the Cats have numbers. Is actually Jalea Bennett's back there also, and another fleshy defense underneath as it's knocked away from LBJ. Melina Washington wondering how she was fouled there, but no harm and no whistle, as they say. And the Cats will have the basketball with 20 seconds to shoot. Grandigan's just now coming into the front court. Knight checks out as Haas comes back in. And Florida Gulf Coast just riding the same 6 or 7 players here in the second half. Might be getting a little bit tired as Cannon breaks to the end line. Can't get it to her. Trying to get it to Washington. Now it's off to Key, who's posting up on Dunson. Backing her way in. She gets a little bit of an angle but can't get the finish. There's Dunson with the rebound. Nice job defensively there by Dunson as Cannon cuts her off and forces her to go right to left and then back again as she breaks the time stripe and is now pounding the rock near midcourt. Grandigan holding the ball on the outside, matched up with Workman. Goes to Dunson near the top of the key, tries to get by Cannon, puts it high off the glass and scores that to make it again a 3-point game with 5 minutes even to go. 49-46, the Wildcats have just 1 bucket here in the fourth quarter. Florida Gulf Coast 2 as the defenses have taken over. Workman in the high post, right side, goes to Coleman, who puts the ball down once and now needs to reset with Washington. 12 seconds on the timer. She goes around a Coleman screen, goes right back to Ashanti from 15 away. She's got it down. That's her 10th point. She hadn't hit one since the first half, but she has a big one there to make it again a 5-point lead. 4.5 to go. Haas is allowed to bring it up and start it up at the right wing. Go between the circles now. Atwater to the left. She goes around Evans, who is bumped and reached in on. I don't know if they're going to get Lauren or Coleman. It's going to be Evans, who is called for the push. That's the 3rd team foul. Evans has 3, and it stops play with 4:21 to go, and the Wildcats trying to hold on for a big win over Florida Gulf Coast, but still 4 minutes and 21 seconds to go. Though they lead 51-46 here on Arizona IMG Sports.
Puertorriqueña, yo te la
Florida Gulf Coast just 5 points over more than 10 minutes and have taken a 51-46 lead. Both teams, though, really struggling from the field as Arizona is 2 for 7 here in the fourth. FGCU only 2 for 8. As Atwater is at the foul line where she was recently fouled by Evans and she's able to convert the first. And the Cats, having given up so many off-ball cuts and layups that resulted of that in the first half, have been able to minimize that damage and as a result have this now 3-point lead. But what can Arizona do offensively? And so recently, having scored just 6 points in the fourth quarter yesterday against Southern Methodist, these offensive struggles, a little bit of a concern, but still the Cats a little bit more active, though much more so is Atwater. She takes away that pass from Washington, is able to go end-to-end, and now single-handedly make it just a 1-point game, and the Wildcats really need to respond as LBJ hops off of the bench. And Washington going to initiate the offense again as she's got Evans set up in the corner on the near side. Instead she goes to Cannon on the right. Back out to Coleman between the rings. Now bounce it off to Evans. They want to feed Workman in the post. She turns now, faces up. She's got a double team nearby as she goes crashing in. Can't get a foul, can't get an offensive foul either. She goes back out to Evans. Now 5 seconds to shoot as she goes right around Granigan. And there's the offensive foul as Dunson, who is right underneath the hoop. And Workman was generally out of control, but it's easy to feel a little bit picked on if you're wearing a red uniform after the way the offensive fouls were called yesterday, but nobody on the bench responded with any gasps of any kind, so I will end my conversation there. The Cats have now given up 6. Well, I guess they've been outscored 6-2 and are leading just 51-50. And this is a big defensive possession with 3 minutes and 32 seconds to go. As Atwater, who's been the offense, she's going to bring the ball over the time stripe. This time switched up and being defended by Cannon. As she accelerates to get into the front court. Now stops outside the three-point line. Goes back to Lauder, who fakes a pass inside. Gets it back over to Granigan, who wants to go right back to Atwater. Hands it off at the top of the key. Now 12 seconds on the shot clock as they go to Haas, and Lauder has it back inside the three-point line in front of the FGCU bench. Haas goes to the angle left side, and Atwater 4 seconds on the shot clock as she crosses over, splits 2 defenders, puts it off the glass, can't get the finish, so the rebound is fought for and taken by Dunson. Granigan was open for a three-pointer, and said she gets a player in the air, goes inside, kick it back out. There's a three-pointer, lifts it up by Lauder. It's very short, but rebounded by Atwater. Third opportunity here for Florida Gulf Coast, which has had the ball offensively for 45 seconds, but nothing to show for it yet. Now Atwater again goes right at Cannon. And I tell you, yes, that was a foul, but they need to start whistling that on the other end. As this fourth quarter has had just one whistle on FGCU. And don't need to remind you of the peculiarities involving, in particular, Whitney Knight jumping on players and not getting a foul and knocking players down and not getting a foul. But she's not out there now. And put her back out with a defensive weapon like that is now it's a 3-point lead and 7 straight points from Atwater. Wildcats now needing to respond as Evans comes to Jones, trying to find a cutting Cannon, trying to force it now to Washington as she can't break down Atwater with the dribble, so she's got to back it back out. 12 seconds to shoot as she loses her footing, nearly loses the basketball, able to get it to Cannon. Now 9 seconds for the Wildcats to shoot as she crosses over on Haas, has the ball poked away by Atwater. Atwater has taken this basketball game over as there's Granigan with a three-pointer up and in, and the Wildcats have to call a timeout. Arizona had a 5-point lead underneath the 5-minute timeout, but Atwater scored 7 straight, and then Granigan was left all alone for a three-pointer. Arizona now in the fourth quarter has scored just 5 points. Of course, yesterday against Southern Methodist, the Cats scored only 6. As it's tough to say in both instances exactly what had happened, but this time it does feel as if things have gone just a little bit away from them as far as what they're able to generate by getting to the foul line, if you know what I mean. A 5-to-1 foul disparity has been called with Arizona only getting one whistle against Florida Gulf Coast, but that has often been the case this season, and the Wildcats are having to play through a little bit more contact on their end. They're just incapable of doing so at this point, and now running out of time as they try to recover. Your Wildcats will be back in McHale on Tuesday, December 29th at 2 p.m. as they take on George Mason. It's Bring Your A game. All youth present your report card or an assignment with an A to the McHale ticket office on the day of the game and receive a $4 ticket. For tickets or more information, visit ArizonaWildcats.com or call 621-CATS. Arizona down 5 with 2 minutes and 5 seconds to go. Washington continuing to start the offense for Arizona. As LBJ back out there with Workman. This time it's Cannon who comes off of the baseline. Gets it to Workman who wanted to go through the lane but fired it right at Lauder for FGCU, and the Cats have a poor turnover at one of the worst moments of the ball game. As now Atwater, who has 7 of the last 10 points, goes inside and out to Granigan. Her three-pointer's off the front rim. Evans can't get the rebound away from Lauder. Eventually is able to do so. Minute and a half to go, and the Cats trail 5, 56-51. Washington gets to the foul line, puts it off the glass and scores it. And now the Cats need to stop, trailing 3, a minute 24 to go. Atwater gives it over the time stripe, wants to hand it off to Dunson, forced to pick up a dribble because of Evans on the denial. Now trying to find Granigan, who's got a three-pointer. Recently to her credit, but Workman there on the denial. So Dunson pounding the basketball with 9 seconds to shoot. Goes to Lauder. Now Atwater has it. Quickly to the baseline. She puts it up short. Rebounded by Workman. Less than a minute to go. Here come the Cats trailing 56-53. Washington stops inside the three-point line. Gets it to the rolling. Jones was able to score. And now a timeout taken by Coach Butts as her team trails just 1. 51 seconds to go as the offense has roared back, but more importantly, the defense remains as Whitney Knight's going to check in. And now what can the Wildcats do to try to get another stop and score? As it would be really heartbreaking had they had to go into another potential loss, talking about how they were held in single figures in the fourth quarter, but that does not seem to be the case. As now they just got to get another stop and an opportunity. AT&T covers 99% of all Americans, which makes it easy for you to connect with family and friends. AT&T mobilizing your world. And a reminder that on January 12th, the Nia Butt Show will start to air from the cellar on the lower level of the Student Union Memorial Center at 6 o'clock. The Nia Butt Show will begin January 5th with a broadcast out of McHale. Whitney Knight trying to inbound. Is there a 5-second violation? No, a timeout taken by FGCU. So the Cats almost force a critical turnover. And a 30-second timeout taken by the Eagles. As Arizona needs to get a stop. And the Wildcats here have not knocked down a three-pointer, haven't attempted one in the second half. And throughout their first 2 ball games here in Puerto Rico, the three-point shot has been far from their best offense. So trying to keep this thing underneath 3 points is crucial. And trying to keep it at 1 where they could win it with a simple 2 would be ideal. Knight's going to go back and do the inbounding. The Wildcats send Griffey, Washington, Jones, Workman, and Cannon out. As nobody is on the basketball, as it's inbounded to Dunson, right back to Knight, who's going to trigger the offense as she's picked up at midcourt by Workman. 45 seconds to go, and a 1-point lead for Florida Gulf Coast. Dunson pounding the rock and is able to get it over to Atwater, picked up by Cannon. 12 seconds on the shot clock. She's looking for a cutting Knight. Inside and back out. Granigan shoots a three-pointer that rims out, and there the rebound is had by Griffey, able to keep it away from the 6'3" Whitney Knight. Wildcats can hold for the final shot. 22 seconds remain. Arizona's down 1. Griffey in the center circle being defended closely by Dunson as she can't get inside. 12 seconds to shoot. Handoff now to Washington. 9 seconds to shoot as she goes around. Has the ball stripped away from her on a dive from Dunson. They got a foul now to the Wildcats. As Coach Butts is glaring at the official, but that play looked good. I tell you what, it would have been really neat to see the way this game would have ended if they had called the fouls earlier in the quarter, as FGCU is only going to be whistled for one here in this fourth. And Atwater is at the free throw line to shoot two. First one is up and in. Second on the way is not good, but there's Knight with the offensive rebound, and the horn sounds. Wow, are they going to put time back on? I don't know why they'd start doing the Wildcats any favors now. They're going to huddle up and try to figure out how much time to put on. This could end up with all sorts of hilarious results. There's no monitor to check, so they're going to call jump ball. They've signaled the wrong team that has the possession arrow. I mean, good heavens, what a rough 10 minutes for the Stripes. All right, so now he's walking away from the scorer's table. I guess they're going to, they got 3 seconds on there now, but there was less than 3 seconds. There was less than 3 seconds when she shot the free throws. I don't know what's happening. So there was 2.7 seconds, I believe, when Atwater was shooting the free throws. And then she missed the free throw, and there was a pursuit of a loose ball, and the buzzer sounded as the official was 0.3 seconds. Now, the Wildcats gave up a bucket yesterday to a 6'3" player who was able to get the catch and put it up and in. They're going to have to get something going toward the rim. Or either that or it's going to be a quick catch and shoot. As Florida Gulf Coast is already out on the floor. And Arizona will send Cannon, Washington, Griffey, Workman, and Jones is underneath, and you're going to be double teamed by both Knight and Grandigan. So the Wildcats, if they are going to try to get a shot in to the Brittany Jones, they're going to have to really make it. They're going to bounce it outside Cannon. Wouldn't have counted anyway. Hey, great eye. Well, the Cats lose 57-55. They can only get one foul whistled against Florida Gulf Coast. A couple fans boo, but unfortunately their feelings do not matter as Arizona drops at second in Puerto Rico. We'll tell you more after this on Arizona IMG Sports. Gosh, what a sham.